To discuss about this precipitation that I want to continue. In the last class, we discussed about the hydrologic cycle, catchment area, watershed, rainfall characteristics, different types of precipitation, different forms of precipitation, different gauge. Rain gauges is used for recording the rainfall that we discussed. In today, I will discuss remaining things in this chapter. The first one is adequacy of rain gauge station. We should know that number of rain gauge stations is adequate or not. So for that, this formula is used. N equal to Cb by epsilon square of this Cb by epsilon. N is number of rain gauge station required. Cb is the coefficient of variation of rainfall data, and epsilon is the allowable degree of error, means how much error we are ready to accept. So this coefficient of variation, we know that is 100 into standard deviation divided by average of precipitation. This is the standard deviation of precipitation data in the existing number of gauging stations. Standard deviation, we know that is the square root of the summation of this a square minus average square divided by a minus 1, and average is the sum of the rainfall data divided by the total number of rain gauge stations. 10% total rain gauge stations should be self-recording type. Nowadays, 10% minimum should be self-recording type, because manual recording type it will give you the rainfall depth, but here self-recording type it will give you the intensity, it will give the mass flow curve, and it's more accurate. Next is problem. In this problem, okay, a catchment has 6 rain gauges. Considering 10% that allowable degree of error, find the optimum number of rain gauge stations required. There is 6 stations, station A, B, C, D, E, F. Here rainfall is given 82.6. These are the rainfall data of 6 stations. How to calculate the number of rain gauge stations required? Means the optimal number of rain gauge stations. So average rainfall data is, if you estimate average, then it will be 118.6. And sigma, that is the standard deviation. If you want to calculate all this data using this formula, it will be around this 35.04. So coefficient of variation will be, we use this 100 times the standard deviation divided by this average, it will be 29.54. The number of rain gauge station will be Cb by epsilon whole square, that is 8.79 or nearly equal to 9 stations. So 9 gauging stations is the optimal number that is required for this catchment. Next is estimation of missing rainfall data. If sometime there is some difficulty to record the rainfall, okay, how to estimate that missing data? There is one arithmetic average method, that is in neighboring stations data we have, and at X station we don't have the data. I want to calculate and to know that that is missing, and I want to know this precipitation at X station. Then the average of all the neighboring stations we can consider at the precipitation of the X station. Okay, that's the arithmetic average method. Next is normal ratio method. In normal ratio method, okay, it is normal ratio means normal rainfall data we have to use. What is normal rainfall data? There is the average of rainfall at a particular date, month or year over a specified 30-year period. That means if you want to know the normal rainfall of this month, the August month, is that for this month, August month, the last 30 years August month rainfall data, that average value of the last 30 years August month data is the normal rainfall of the August month. Okay, a particular date if you want to consider, like for today's date, then on this date, then last 30 years data, rainfall data, that average value is the normal rainfall data of this today date. For this year, less 2020 year, the rainfall data is the average of the last 30 years yearly data, yearly average of the yearly rainfall data. That is the normal rainfall. So average is calculated that we should know this normal rainfall of this X station where the data is missing, divided by the number of stations whole into P1 by N1 plus P2 by N2 plus Pm by Nm. These are the N1 and N2 are the normal annual precipitation, station neighboring stations 1, 2, 3M and X respectively. Yes, based on that, there is one problem here. The data is given. The normal data is given. Okay, or the station X, B, C, D. Okay, in the year 75, the station D was inoperative and station ABC recorded annual precipitation data. The 4 stations out of 4, one station, that is station D, in 1975, it was inoperative due to some technical reason, and that cannot be recorded. The precipitation at D for that area year could not be recorded. But we have this ABC recorded rainfall data. The precipitation is given for this particular year. Okay, for a particular year, this for this 1975 year, the precipitation data is given. Last 30 years of a specified 30 years data, average data is given, that is the normal data. So estimate the rainfall using that formula. If you calculate the 92.01, that is a normal rainfall of this D station divided by 3 neighboring stations divided by 3 all into P1 by N1 plus P2 by N2 plus P3 by N3. These are the P1, P2, P3. If you get, you will get 99.48 cm. Next is how to represent this rainfall data. First one is mass curve of rainfall. Basically, there is 2 types. One is mass curve, another is, we know we have data in terms of depth, but the mass curve rainfall, that is how to present the rainfall data so that we can predict something, we can analyze something. Mass curve of rainfall, another there is bar chart, there is heterograph, another method is there. Okay, this mass curve of rainfall is nothing but the cumulative or the accumulated precipitation with respect to time. Means in x-axis it is the plot between the time and the accumulated data, accumulated precipitation data. Here, when there will be storm, there will be peak, there will be sudden rise of this plot. After the storm is over, then there will be flat curve, because this is the accumulated. Okay, it will not be zero, it will not be constant or zero, it will remain flat because it is accumulated. Means whatever the total rainfall after the first term, that will remain constant. Again, if there will be storm, for the second storm, it will again increase suddenly. Then after the second storm is over, it remains flat. After that, in the third storm, it will increase, then it will be flat. Like this, the accumulated or the cumulative rainfall data, that is mass curve of rainfall, is plotted. Heterograph is nothing but it is a bar plot between rainfall intensity and time. What is the rainfall intensity? It is the rainfall or the precipitation per unit time, centimeter per hour, centimeter per second, or centimeter per minute, or centimeter per day. That is the intensity. Rainfall intensity in x-axis, time in y-axis. So this in bar plot, that is called heterograph. If you take the area under this graph, okay, it will give you, if you have to multiply this time with this rainfall intensity, it will give you depth. Area under heterograph has specified time interval. After specified time interval, for this time interval to this time interval, you have to calculate the precipitation, total precipitation. You just take the area of this plot, this total plot. This area will be time into the rainfall intensity. It will give you in rainfall depth. Next is the mean precipitation over an area. The arithmetic mean you can calculate. Arithmetic is simple, that you can calculate this P1 by P1 plus P2 plus P3 plus and this up to this Pn till the total precipitation data divided by n. Thesin polygon method. In Thesin polygon means the polygon connecting perpendicular bisectors of the lines between measuring stations and the area boundary. For example, here there is 3 stations A, B, C. So if you connect these three, the perpendicular bisectors, okay, these perpendicular bisectors of these 3 lines, okay, you have to connect. Okay, so this polygon, which is formed by connecting perpendicular bisectors, this perpendicular bisector of the lines between measuring stations, this perpendicular bisector, this perpendicular bisectors, and this area boundary. This area boundary. Okay, so this polygon is called Thiessen polygon. So here, how the average is calculated, there is P1, the rainfall at the station A, P1 into area of this polygon, P1A1 plus for this polygon P2, let it is P3, it is P2 here. So neighboring station is also considered. Let this is the area, this is the catchment area. We are going to calculate the mean precipitation, but the neighboring stations also you have to take P2. So P2 into this A2, only this area, P1A1 plus P2A2 plus P3A2. This is P3. This area P3A3 divided by total catchment area A1 plus A2 plus A3, that will give you the average precipitation. This is the most accurate method compared to arithmetic or any other method. Next is iso-height method. Iso-height is the line joining points of equal rainfall magnitude. Yet this is the catchment area. Okay, we have to connect the points where the equal rainfall occur. This is the let 2 mm rainfall, 4 mm rainfall, this is 6 mm rainfall, 8 mm rainfall, 10 mm rainfall, 12 mm rainfall. So to connect the points of equal rainfall. Okay, then this average precipitation will be the area in between these two lines, two isoids. Isoids mean the points of the line joining the points of equal rainfall. These are isoids. One isoid, the second isoid, this is the third, that is the 6 mm rainfall, fourth isoid, that is the 8 mm rainfall, fifth isoid, that is 10 mm rainfall, sixth isoid, that is the 12 mm rainfall. So this area in between two, in between this, okay, but here the catchment area is not present, so catchment area means only this much. Okay, on this between these two isoids, with the average precipitation you have to take 2, 4, 6 divided by 2, that is 3. So 3 is the rainfall, 3 into this area, plus 4 plus 6 is average is 5, so 5 into this area, plus 6, 8 average is 7, plus 7 into this area, plus 9 into this area, plus this 11 into this area. So average precipitation, okay, between two isoids into the area divided by total area, total catchment area, A1 plus A2 plus A3 total catchment area, is the average precipitation using isoids method. Next is frequency of point rainfall. Frequency means number of times. How a number of times means when the a particular rainfall event will come, or how many times of a particular value of rainfall will occur in a particular period of time. Okay, let 30 mm of rainfall, we have to know daily rainfall of 30 mm in 10 years, how many times it will come, that is called frequency. So when it will come, that is called recurrence interval or return interval. When next 30 cm rainfall will come, how many years means it will come, that is called return period or return interval. Number of times it occur, that is called frequency. So return interval, return period, that is called return period, okay, is the average interval between the occurrence of a rainfall magnitude equal to or greater than the specified magnitude. This return period is nothing but the reciprocal of the probability P. Probability means probability of occurrence of an event of a random variable, that is your rainfall we are considering, where magnitude is equal to or excess of specified magnitude. For an example, return period of 50 cm of 24 hours is 20 years at certain situation. Return period of 50 cm of 24 hours is 20 years. It means after on an average an average rainfall magnitude of equal or greater than 50 cm. Not only 50 cm, exact 50 cm, equal to or more than 50 cm in 24 hours. In 24 hours means this is the event that will occur 5 times in 100 years. In 100 years, 5 times this event will come. It does not mean that every 20 years such an event will occur. Okay. So this is the return period. Return period is 20 year of a particular event. When this event will come in 100 years 5 times. It does not mean that every T period, every 20 years it will come. Next is the probability. Probability of a particular event. Probability of an event of exceedance probability P occurring 2 times in n successive years is P 2n. Okay, it is n factorial divided by n minus 2 factorial p square q to the power n minus 2. Probability of exceeding probability P occurring once in n successive years. P1 and n factorial divided by 1 n minus 1 factorial p to the power 1 q to the power n minus 1. Similarly, for general equation, if you have r times in n successive years, then Prn n factorial divided by n minus r factorial into r factorial. Here actually there is 2 is missing here, so 2 factorial into p to the power into q to the power n minus r. Probability of an event not occurring at all, that is P0n, n factorial divided by n minus 0 factorial, p to the power 0, q to the power n minus 0, q to the power n 1 minus p to the power n. This is the analysis of data on maximum one day rainfall depth at Madras indicated that depth of 280 cm has return period 50 years. 280 cm depth, this is the event. Okay, 1 day rainfall depth, return period is 50 years. Determine the probability of 1 day rainfall depth equal to or greater than that 280 mm, means that event occurring once in 20 successive years. Means r is 1, n is 2. If you just put, you will get the answer. 2 times in 15 successive years. N is 15, 2 is, here also 2 is missing. 2 factorial should be there. 2 times r is 2, n is 15. So you'll get this answer. At least once in 20 successive years. At least once. At least once means 1 minus nothing. 1 minus p 0 n. At least. The formula will be 0 n means 1 minus, this is q to the power n, like in the last here, q to the power n, 0 n and q to the power n. So it will be 1 minus q to the power n, which is equal to 1 minus of 1 minus p to the power n, 1 minus of 1 minus p to the power n, 1 minus p to n, this is n. 20 is 0.332. So this is about frequency of point rainfall, how we calculate the probability at different times, different event. Thank you so much.